Gardeners are always searching for ways to grow more food with less effort, fewer pests, and richer soil. But what if the answer isn't a new fertilizer or fancy tool, but who your plants are living next to? Companion planting is one of the oldest agricultural strategies in human history, and it remains one of the most effective. When you put the right plants side by side, they support each other chemically, physically, and biologically, leading to bigger harvests, stronger plants, fewer pests, and healthier soil. Think of your garden as a neighborhood. Some plants are perfect neighbors. They share resources, protect each other, and help keep the block safe. Others, they fight for nutrients, attract pests, or stunt each other's growth. Once you learn which is which, your garden transforms into a thriving, self-balancing ecosystem. Alright, so here are the most powerful, proven companion planting secrets you can start using right away to boost your yields dramatically. The Three Sisters, a perfect ancient partnership. The classic trio of corn, beans, and squash is honestly one of the most famous and effective companion systems ever developed. Corn provides the natural trellis, beans climb the corn while fixing nitrogen into the soil, and squash spreads across the ground, shading out weeds and keeping the soil moist. This triad really creates a small ecosystem where each plant supports the others. If you're looking for effortless fertility and almost guaranteed success, this is definitely the combination to start with. Tomatoes love basil, and basil loves tomatoes right back. This partnership is legendary, and for good reason. If you plant basil around the base of your tomatoes, you'll repel whiteflies and tomato hornworms, improve the flavor of your tomatoes, and yes, it actually works. Increase pollination and growth, and shade the soil to reduce moisture loss. Basil thrives in the microclimate that tomatoes create, and in return tomatoes grow stronger and resist pests more effectively. And hey, if you add marigolds around the bed, you'll get triple protection. Carrots and onions, they're kind of like the pest-repelling duo of the garden. Onions release these sulfur compounds that help repel carrot fly, while carrots, well, they actually help mask the scent of onions from onion fly and other pests. So, in simple terms, they basically confuse the insects that want to eat them. If you plant them in alternating rows or just mix them together, you'll end up with fewer pests, smoother carrot roots, and, this fragrant, pest-deterring soil chemistry. Honestly, this is one of the easiest companion combinations for beginner gardeners. Now, cucumbers and dill are what I'd call the unexpected growth booster. Dill attracts all these beneficial insects like hoverflies and parasitic wasps, which are, by the way, natural predators of cucumber beetles. Plus, dill encourages better growth by improving pollination. Just 1 or 2 dill plants can actually protect an entire row of cucumbers. But, you gotta be careful. Dill should be removed once it flowers or it might stunt your cucumbers. So, early dill is great, but mature dill can be a little too competitive. Lettuce and tall crops make a great team for natural shade, especially for those tender greens. Lettuce really hates the heat, and crops like corn, sunflowers, tomatoes, and pole beans create the perfect partial shade microclimate. The trick is to plant lettuce on the east side of those tall crops, so it gets morning sun and afternoon shade. Your lettuce will stay crisp longer, be less bitter, and it'll bolt much more slowly. It's a simple adjustment, but it can dramatically increase your harvest. Radishes as sacrificial shields for squash. Now, that's a clever gardening trick. Radishes are actually one of the best trap crops for squash pests. Squash bugs and flea beetles, well, they really prefer radish leaves, which means your zucchini, pumpkins, and butternut squash are often left untouched. So just let the radishes take the damage. Think of them as your garden's tiny volunteer bodyguards. Beans and potatoes, working together as mutual growth enhancers. Potatoes really appreciate the nitrogen that beans fix in the soil. In return, beans like the shade and cooler soil around potato plants. When you pair them up, you get higher yields, more robust root systems, and greater disease resistance. But hey, just remember, never plant potatoes near tomatoes or peppers, since they share way too many pests and diseases. Flowers are not optional. They are pollinator infrastructure. If you want to increase your yields, you must increase pollination, plain and simple. Plants like borage, calendula, marigolds, alyssum, and zinnias bring in bees, lacewings, ladybugs, and parasitic wasps. Try placing flowers at your garden entrances, in bed corners, and even throughout your veggie rows. This simple step can actually double your yields, and you won't have to add any fertilizer at all. Avoid these plant pairings. They compete or even harm each other. Not all plants get along, you know. Never pair tomatoes with potatoes, since late blight spreads instantly between them. Beans and onions are a no-go because onions stunt bean growth. Fennel? Don't pair it with anything, it's allelopathic and will stunt its neighbors. Corn and tomatoes are both heavy feeders and attract the same pests, so keep them apart. Honestly, knowing the bad neighbors is just as important as choosing the good ones. Build guilds, mini ecosystems that pretty much grow themselves. A guild is just a cluster of plants that work together, like a small self-balancing community. For example, a simple tomato guild includes tomato as the main crop, basil for pest control and flavor, marigold for nematode control, lettuce as a shaded understory crop, and garlic for antifungal protection. One small space becomes a multi-layer biological engine, and it's actually pretty amazing. Here's the final takeaway. Your plant choices determine your harvest. You don't need expensive fertilizers or constant spraying. Honestly, you just need the right neighbors. Companion planting can turn your garden into an intelligent, cooperative system where plants protect, feed, and support one another. Once you start planting strategically, this next to that, you'll see bigger yields, fewer problems, richer soil, healthier plants, and, yeah, a more self-sustaining garden.